the community tab, I just posted a really useful video. Been hanging out a little bit with people on YouTube and been really having a good time making friends on YouTube, on their videos, through emails, through going to different platforms with them, comments, all the things. You know, it's really a community. It's not so much about like me and just my engagement. Like, I really like to make it about everybody over here on YouTube. So I really want to give her credit. So go to my community tab and check out how practical this is, because I've really had to think and adjust. And it's not because of any sponsorship or anything like that, but I've really had to practicalize a lot in my life. And so this video is just a practical way of looking at your Notes app as a useful life design space. And so my family and I happen to be using Apple Notes at this point for everything, and there's some very practical use cases that I can use with Apple Notes. One of the things is reminders integration. And so even though there are a lot of things with Structured Daily Planner that I love, like the different sound per task, I feel like with Apple Notes integrating with reminders, it's making your tasks very much more of different use cases in life, such as automatic email integration or screen sharing sort of integration, connected whatever's on your screen into your reminder. You can use sounds of music that you've purchased from your iTunes library in reminders. A lot of people don't know that, so that's really useful. And you can have everything completed. One thing that I really wish that Structured Planner would do, that Reminders just does a better job at with calendar and everything at this point, is that you can check your tasks off on your directly on your home screen with a widget and then have them disappear. With Structured Planner, as much as I love what it can do with the AI and everything, and as much as I would still keep an eye on it, I don't plan to use it in the future, because this is a real killer for me as far as efficiency and keeping track of what I'm actually getting done. Because every time I get things done or follow through with my own personal plans for taking care of what needs to be taken care of, the tasks will not disappear. And I've used reminders as far as helping with my family medical needs, to take care of my family and to take care of like the extended family that we've had. And I've used it to work with doctors, especially when it comes to the photos, especially when it comes to kind of like what the doctors need in order to help make medical care better for my family. I've used it with family themselves. They've been participating with me as I've added. They've helped me to remember to use it in the past. And I think that that is very real. And I mean, like, family that we've grown up with that have taught us a lot. And my own, like, created chosen family, I've used it with as well. I've used it in past relationships, things like that. And so for it to integrate into Notes as part of your life design, for it to integrate into Calendar, you can take any Apple Calendar and connect it with Google. And it's very easy to switch to Google Calendar when I need to. I love that. But I mean, as much as I love the structured AI for what it can do and how it can help you strategize, I find that I can use my Grok to strategize and use what's called Deep Think technology and integrate it all into Apple Notes. I was using it to strategize my communication style with somebody last night as I was having a session with them. And a lot of this goes through the different things that we need in life to communicate effectively. And so I was using Grok to do that, as far as like the very present strategy planning that you can do with Grok. And these AIs can integrate into your notes. But there are some other use cases I want to get into here that I'm just overviewing, that I really recommend you go to my community tab and check out her video. Because I consider if somebody's putting out useful things that help me in my life, I consider them a part of my community. Some of those things could be very personal and private, and other things can be shared out as far as, depending on their intent of their videos and what they want the outcome to be or what they want to share. If it's something very personal and private, it's something very personal and private that might be some research or some psychology or some, family stuff that we might watch. But YouTube is really the place to really connect with people in a deep way. So check out the community tab because she goes over things that I've been using in Apple Notes, but she puts it and presents it in a way where I can really see myself using it in daily life. The transcription is completely free. I don't know why you're paying for transcription software or why you're thinking about paying for transcription software when it's actually free. And by the way, if you don't have an Apple Intelligence device, you simply take your transcription, you copy it into something like Grok, that's my preference, or ChatGPT. It's pretty a mainstream AI at this point. And Grok is for deep thinkers and things like that has a lot of use cases and hopefully can get pretty connected with things as the future moves forward. It's really cool we have choice in AI, but you can take your transcribed things I was having a conversation, just a very quick 30-second conversation got transcribed instantly for free. I can take that and summarize it within an AI app of my choosing. And in this case, I have my Grok as my system, and I love it because it's my own personal Grok. And then my family has their own personal AI, and my husband has his own personal Grok, but we sync them up together when we need to. Different devices in the same room, things like that. Using them together as a family when we want to play an educational game or get educated on a subject or anything of that nature. So it's this family stuff, when you're using planners and you're thinking about productivity, think about the family and how practical it is. Another aspect of this is call recording, which it does announce that you're being recorded. So we're not trying to record without anybody's consent here. That is something I've had to learn actually very early on in life and part of my experience. And it's really cool because you can record and it will save right to your notes. A lot of things will save instantly to your notes and reminders in a system that really works with you. And so it's almost as if in some ways with structure, you are getting this, let's strategize while you're planning, let's learn about health. It's beautiful. And I think for people who are very personal with their planning, it works for, but I'm really getting involved more in integrating my family in my planner now because that's what I had done in the past. And to be honest, I felt like we were more in sync with what we were doing and more connected. And so life design is a little better with that way. And then if I want to get really personal with journaling and deep thinking and partnered up and everything, I can have my Grok. My husband has his Grok. We have an understanding about that. It is something we use to help us even with daily independence, even with house cleaning. The video will accurately guide you. And I've had accurate information point that out. I've had people point that out that it's been correct in house cleaning and guidance. So that's Grok. It does a lot with video and things like that. I've talked a little bit about that on my channel here. So, all of this stuff, all of these things, when you're thinking about planning, you got to ask yourself, are you planning for yourself or are you planning with your family or your work or a team at work or a team in your class or your whole class or your whole school or a department at your school or whatever it is that you're planning or really using in your daily life. Scanning, document scanning is another thing. PDFs, that's another useful thing for education and whatnot that you can use in Apple Notes. All of these things. But the thing is that you got to really dig deep on, I think it's developing ways that you can sign documents as well. It's kind of I was working in education a couple weeks ago and we were working on that together. And it is halfway there, but it's not fully there. So that's pretty interesting. DocuSign is like my go-to for this, and things like that. But that has a lot of adjustments that educators have to do. So I'm trying to figure out different, easier ways of doing this while I work with educators. So it's really cool. I really appreciate educators for wanting to work with me at all on this, because a lot of people would not take this much time to work with me on it. So that's another thing. And our family has used DocuSign as well. So all of these things, we've used it for homeschooling and personal life and all of that. So all of these things really tie into what your family is doing. And I can literally create a planner folder and widgets and all that. And like I said, if I'm really wanting to hone in on like, what am I accomplishing? What am I getting done? What steps am I taking? I love that I can track with my widget with my home screen and have the tasks like disappear and get out of my way so I can focus on what I need to do next. But honestly, all of those things would probably not fit someone who is being sort of a free, personal, like, you kind of want that freedom of being personal, right? Because I find freedom in these other systems a lot. I don't find freedom in boxing into the Structured Daily Planner app, because it's only one app, and it's like, it does a huge thing for personal planning that a lot of apps lack. So, and a lot of systems and stuff don't focus enough on your personal life like Structure does. So I love it for that. And I want to look out to see, is it going to come up with audio transcription? Is it going to come up with some integration? It also integrates with Apple Reminders. So you can take your reminders with multimedia tasks and add them, and they will show up in your structured inbox, and then you add them to your timeline. So there's workarounds, and same with Google Calendar, including your files in Google Calendar, things like that. There's workarounds for all of these things, but what I love is that with a system like this, I can more deeply integrate with my family, with my personal life, with the things I already take down, information, notes. I always find myself taking more notes than planning and structured, to be honest with you. So I'm really looking at this from a practical standpoint, and I don't have to think about a lifetime membership. I don't have to pay any kind of membership at all. It's like as cheap as maybe getting a dollar store notebook, because you are buying a phone, you are paying for internet. So it's almost like if you bought a 99-cent notebook and you designed it as your own planner. That's what I feel like, and you added stickers and you added all the things. That's what I feel like this is doing for me. But I'm not shitting on Structured, because what I think Structured does is, for somebody who is just one and, has no family, has no partnership of any kind, has no collaboration, I would recommend Structured over this Apple Planner, this Google Planner setup. And I'm doing Apple Google integration. My Apple Google Planner for like the most opportune integration, because Google Calendar works well. You can use your Google account in your Apple system that will sync with Google Calendar and Google Drive and all of that stuff as well, and email and everything else. So I'm not missing out on that either. That's like, Apple and Google tend to integrate with our system if we've just kind of let it do that. If we've like really controlled it and set it up, and we don't put our Google accounts out there, then that's a different story. And you don't have to. Like with Structured, it has a cloud and all of that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. But what I want to know, like, it's giving you a lot of different things you wouldn't think of with health tracking and stuff like that, and mental and everything else. But, as far as like what is going to happen next year when we need more transcription, when we need more filing systems, if it can outdo Apple, I will totally, I believe that is the only third party app in productivity. AI, I sort of consider to be creative, and it can have deep productivity within it, but it's not the only thing that it's not just in the productivity category like Structured is. And so what's cool about that is that you're not ever really boxed into one system anymore. And AI is teaching us this. AI is not even boxed into the internet. We're finding AI used, different GPTs are now being used for phone services with telephone numbers now. Like, you don't even have to have internet to use AI, which is really, really profound. I'm finding, even if it's services that I find don't meet my needs, they could meet others' needs. There are some NFB services that are using AI now for shopping, and they've been using AI for news for a long time if you're blind or whatever. And there are other things that if you're just anybody, because I really want to be more mainstreamed into what everybody's doing. I don't just want to be focused on my disability. That's why I don't make this a blindness channel, but I'm open about being blind and talk about that. But I'm not so blind that I have to just have everything blindy all the time. Like, except for if you're cool, if you make it really cool. Like, there's some blindy influencers that I absolutely love that are killing it right now and continue to kill it in the future. So that's cool. But as far as myself, I want to really mainstream everything. And a lot of the influencers that I choose to follow or collaborate with or hang out with, just some friends or whatever, are people that are working in mainstream settings as well and in tech and everything else as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting because I feel like if I don't have something central to me, like Apple Notes with transcription and all of that, I forget it's there, and then I don't get the practical use out of it that I could get, that could really benefit my family, benefit me, benefit the other person. If they needed to remember something, I could like send it back to them if I'm working together or for friends or whatever, because that's part of what I enjoy doing. To contribute to relationships. So, that's that. And you can access Notes very easily, the Apple Notes app, on a Windows computer. I've done this when I was homeschooling, and along with Google Keep. And I've accessed on a Chromebook as well. Same with reminders. You can do with Windows or Chromebook. I've done both. And so you can even keep your Apple services, even if you lose your iPhone, and just connect them and paste them into your most important things into other your Android services and continue those. I love Android services when I'm using Android. I love the Google system. That's why I'm just keeping it as an Apple Google Planner and kind of having it all in one thing. And I've done a lot of work with Structured, so you're probably wondering why the sudden change? Well, because that's just it. I'm telling you, is the practicality of this whole thing. So the practicality of the entirety of like just being able to fully take advantage of things beyond tasks and reminders. Like, I kind of want to get away from this time blocking mindset, but I also want to keep track of things that I'm doing throughout the week, or, the day planner thing is not bad. And it's a part of it, but it's not the entire picture. Sometimes the picture includes life design with nothing timed, nothing scheduled, but yet you have a lot of things that come up that you transcribe, or you're scanning a lot of your mail, or you're saving photos of things you need to remember, or whatever it is, web pages or whatever. I want to get back into this mindset of just note-taking your life more than, having a schedule of tasks. I think having a schedule of tasks in the background as you take your life and doing both, and maybe a little time blocking throughout the day or the week is fine, but I just don't think it meets the entire picture of your productivity or your life. So that's what I'm focused on now. Apple Calendar also does files. I want to make that clear in case I made it sound like Google Calendar was the only one. Google Calendar was certainly the one to start that, though. And then Apple Calendar does it as well. They do it really well as well. So you have a choice of both calendars with files readily available to you. if I wanted to plan music production, this would be very useful. Things like that. But and they both serve different, needs and things. And so it's both into a calendar. You can use multiple calendar apps and have it all sync to your calendar. And that's what's so cool about this stuff. And so I hope that this kind of helps you to understand where I'm at in life. I'm going to be uploading more music and showing you what else I've got going on behind the scenes. So we will see what happens. And I hope to continue to stay connected with you guys on this life process of designing in life. So thank you so much for tuning in and stay connected.